Right. One of these days, I'm going to figure out how to tell stream elements to just remove that no game business. Cool. So, I had something interesting happen. Oh, my screen's all out of whack. Let me just fix that. It's like all off center for some reason. It's not a stream if something doesn't go wrong. There we go. All right. So this week, in fact, during the course of this week, I received an email from a WordPress plugin developer. His name is Tanish. And he says, "Hi Jonathan, I've been watching your WordPress and plugin related content on YouTube and appreciate how straightforward and helpful your videos are." I hope that's the case. I recently built a WordPress plugin called Speechable that adds text to speech to posts and pages. It runs locally on the site, needs no sign up, and is completely free, and is focused on accessibility and ease of use. Here is the plugin link. If this sounds like something that might fit your channel or audience, I'd love for you to take a look or review it from a user developer perspective. I'm not interested in paid services or promos, just honest feedback if you decide to give it a try. Thanks for the content you share, it's been useful while building. Best regards, to Nish from Java. So I thought, why not? So I went to go and check out the plugin. And it's a fairly recent plugin on the repository. It's called Speechable. You will see there is Tanish's profile. And if you go and check him out, you'll see it says he's a student from India. So I think it's kind of cool that students are building plugins for WordPress. He's got a pretty cool site, I will say that as well. He's built a couple of products. I'm going to assume that he's using possibly some AI assisted coding, which I think is great. I don't have a problem with that at all. But he's built a Notes app, a Chrome extension. He's built a video bot thingy, a Notes extension, a screenshot editor. This looks like a Shopify extension, and then this WordPress plugin. So I'm guessing part of what he's doing is reaching out to people and asking if they'll review his work so he can kind of get his work out there. I have no problem doing that because as far as I can tell, this is his first plugin in the repository. And the fact that he's gotten through the plugin review process tells me that the plugin should be in decent state. So I'm going to sit and check it out today. I haven't reviewed a plugin in a while. Actually, that's not true. I am currently still reviewing plugins, but I haven't done it on like a public plugin on a stream in a while. So that's what we're going to do today. So I'm going to make sure my WordPress site is open up here in PHP Storm. I'm thinking the zoom could probably be a little bit bigger, so I'm going to increase the zoom for the stream to make it 125. Cool. Also makes it easier for my old eyes to read it. Then I'm going to open up my studio site and let's go and install Speechable. I love the fact that under interests, Tanish has written, "I don't know." Clearly a student, doesn't know what he likes yet. That's fine. I had no idea what I was doing when I was a student. Let's install this the old-fashioned way. So let's go Studio, WordPress, WP-CLI plugin, install, and then I think you just go to Speechable, and then activate. That should do the trick. If I can do things with WCLI, I prefer to do things with WP-CLI. It's just quicker. Okay, so that's the plugin installed. Before we do anything else, let's take a look at the plugin. So here's the code. All right. So there's the main plugin file. Okay, pretty straightforward stuff. So final class. So, okay, it's doing a singleton. That's fine. So this is not a massive thing, but Tanish, if you are watching this, it's a good idea to move your hook registrations into their own function. It just makes the class testable, or more easily testable. I mean, it's not wrong to do it this way. Okay, so using Ajax. And then doing some other things. Okay, so he's using... Okay, he's doing some WP Rocket stuff. Lightspeed cache stuff. That looks pretty straightforward. Finding the code very hard to read because of how big it is. I'm afraid I'm going to have to drop it down and zoom, folks. Okay, it's a bit better. If you can't read this, I'm sorry, but I can't read the text when it's so big when I'm trying to look through it. Okay, so he's excluding the speechable code from WP Rocket. That's fine. Same for Lightspeed cache by the looks of it. I wonder why you don't want the code, the JavaScript, to be cached. It must get rendered on the fly or something. Anyway, let's optimize the Elementor in case scripts with Elementor loads. Yeah, you don't need that widget there, but that's fine if it's there, it doesn't matter. So for the module, you don't need that. Well, it looks pretty straightforward. Here's at least verifying nonces on his Ajax calls, which is good. I will say this: the code is nice and clean and easy to read. Looks like it passes PHPCS. Let's have a look. Let's see quickly. Let's do a quick composer installation. So do oh, why am I knitting? Composer in it. What's his name? Tanish Patel. I just realized you can't see what I'm typing there. Hello? 2.0. No. Yes, it's fine. Yes, it's fine. Okay, so let's just check out his main plugin file. doesn't have to pass WordPress coding standards. I'm just curious to see if it does. Okay, so white space stuff, that's up in the world. Mostly white space stuff. Better 6040 code, people use it. Looks like it's mostly just white space. What I can see. Okay, that looks fine. Otherwise, everything else looks good. Yeah, class file names. I'm not going to worry about that. Cool. I mean, that's fine. Okay, so he's outputting a player. Pretty straightforward. Settings link. Okay, response. Now, in the plugin page, it does talk about that it uses PyPyTTS, which is a neural text-to-speech engine that runs in your browser. So I'm curious to know if he is loading that with so voice model files are downloaded from Hugging Face when first using a voice. Whisper model is downloaded for word timestamp. The content is locally. So my guess is it's going to download it and install it somewhere in the plugin or the uploads folder or something like that. So these are all the Whisper models. Settings page, register settings. It's just a bunch of HTML, man. Settings page assets. It's assets. Front-end assets. Get and sanitize audio data. Okay, so that gets the post content. Check audio status for multiple posts. Okay. And then there's a bunch of JavaScript stuff, so we'll go through that. So let's see if we can understand how this thing works based on the actions it's looking into. So it initializes, loads a text domain, adds a settings page, registers the settings, edits the settings, front-end assets. So on the content, it adds the audio player to the content. And then there's those things. So let's go to add audio player. Okay, so add audio player. Got to be enabled. Gets so somewhere along the line it generates the speechable and pipe audio. So we have to figure out when that happens. It might be in the actual post itself. Okay. So look in the JavaScript files. Okay. TTS. Pipe TTS web. TTS web. Okay, here we go. Multiplex labs, yeah, that's the one. Multiplex labs, yeah. So that's a web API for using Piper TCS-based models in the browser. So you import it. It looks like it does its own thing. Okay. So it loads the Piper TTS module, 6 bunch of presets. Color inputs. Color scheme. Looks like it's going to add the speech to text, or text to speech in the admin. And then based on the settings, it'll load it on the front end. That's what it looks like. Okay, so it's pretty straightforward. Offloads TTS process from main thread. Okay, it's doing a whole bunch of stuff. So pretty straightforward. Okay, and this is the player. So this will just render the player, I guess. Good old jQuery. Elementor stuff. There's the player init. Initialize the player based on the settings. It's pretty straightforward. Okay. It's a post list page. List the audio processing module. That's probably something for the editor. This is the actual audio processor. There's the Piper and the Whisper stuff. This pulls it from there. What if it actually installs anything on your computer? All right. As I see, it looks like Tanish actually has this in a GitHub repository. While I was scanning through the code, I thought it would be cool to be able to plug the repo into DeepWiki. So it looks like he has put it here, so I'm going to do that. I hope you don't mind, Tanish. That'll give me some DeepWiki integration, and I can ask it questions about the code. That's always fun. No. So let's do that. Right, that one. It's always a cool way to understand code. Configure, generate, edit any post and click generate audio. Okay, so that actually does all the work. Download on first use of each voice. Cache locally in browser source. That actually downloads the model from Hugging Face. And it caches it in your browser storage. Interesting. So there's nothing stored in your computer. It's kind of cool. Because I didn't see anything along those lines in the code, so that's super interesting. So it's all in browser. It's kind of cool. All right, let's have a look. So, I want to put this on a site somewhere that I know has some content. PTO password managers is I can sign into my places without showing my password. Let's have a look at my sites. I used to have a private blog where I used to post stuff. Okay, so what I could do is I could import. I could import from this site. Let's do that. So what I can do is I can pull all my posts down from my personal site. So let me export all my posts. Go for the published ones. Just stick this on my desktop. And then let's go and import them all here. So let's just check what we've got here at the moment. It might have some test data. Yeah, I thought so. Ooh, there's a little audio button. So let's trash that for now. And then let's import all these posts. Desktop. There we go. Upload and import. Import to the existing user. I don't care about attachments. Okay, that seems to have worked. Okay, so I'm already seeing some things that the plugin says. Let's go to the speechable settings page. So I set my language, set my default voice. It looks like it's trying to pull some data for the voices. Let's refresh this. So there's different voices. Oh, yeah, there's different voices. Looks like it pulls the voices down every time. Okay, yeah, there we go. So it's putting all of that. So let me turn the music off and let's listen to what that voice sounds like.
Hello, this is a preview of the selected voice.
Okay, that was supposed to be a male voice.
Hello, this is a preview of the selected voice. Hello, this is...
Doesn't seem to be working. Just verify nothing's being... Yeah, doesn't look like it's installing anything there. So it's all loading in the browser by the looks of it.
Hello, this is a preview of the selected voice.
Okay, so that doesn't seem to quite work. I mean, that's fine. It's the end of the world. Put the music back on. And change quality. We'll leave it at medium. I can tell it which model to use. So we'll leave it at the smallest one for now. There's some presets that apparently you can set. Okay. Decide where you want to play content. Cool. The only thing I would mention to Nish, if you're watching this, is that the user interface doesn't look like the dashboard. I know that the dashboard might change in the future, so I'm not going to get too thing about it, but maybe what I would have done is maybe try and use like some data form stuff. I'm actually busy building a project that uses the WordPress data form so that it looks more sort of WordPressy. It's the only comment I have there. Otherwise, I've got no issues with it. But yeah, it all seems pretty straightforward. So I'm going to turn the music off for a bit because I want to be able to test this audio stuff. Doesn't look like this is working. Oh, this is to show what it will look like. Okay, so dark theme. It doesn't seem to change that. Okay, I wonder if we change the thing to male now. Would that work?
Hello, this is a preview of the selected voice.
No, that doesn't seem to have worked. So let's just save it.
Hello, this is a preview of the selected voice.
Okay, so that's cool. All right. Okay, that all looks pretty straightforward. I'm going to be honest, this how to use guide at the bottom here is very AI-y. So I've got a feeling Tanish used AI to build this. I have no problem with that. It's just definitely looks that way. So let's go and check this out on one of the posts. So if I go to posts and let's go to one of my more recent posts. 2016. Oh, this thing didn't work properly, did it? Looks like it didn't install all the posts. There was obviously a problem somewhere. So let's go to getting ready for 2016. So if I click on audio, It'll generate the audio. Let's just open up the console and see what's going to happen. Refresh this page again. Okay, so let's take this one from 2016, my very first application to Automatic. That's funny. Okay, so it runs admin Ajax, it shows the form, blah, blah, blah. It's about 3 minutes. Click generate, it's going to download. So it looks like it downloads things every time. Which makes sense because he doesn't want to be storing anything locally. I would consider maybe downloading the models or the voices or the whatever and storing them in the plugin, just so that you only download it once and then it's available. I don't even know if that's possible. I don't know this software. So that's just something to think about. It's pretty quick in generating the text to speech, I must say. This is a 450 word, about 3 minutes of text. Most of my posts are a bit longer than that, so you'd obviously. But what would also be cool is if there was a way to offload this to the background somewhere, and then it like pops you a message when it's done or something. Like that's the other thing I would look at. Is offloading this to some kind of background job. Because now it looks like it's downloading Whisper again. Okay, so let's give this a play and see what it sounds like.
Automatic Code Wrangler application. My application for a position as a code wrangler at Automatic, the company started by WordPress co-founder Matt Mullenweg. Good day, I've written this email in my head about 5 times, one for each year since 2010.
So weird to hear your own words in an AI voice. Okay, so that's done that. So now if I close that, okay, so it shows a little tick button. It shows that there's audio. What happens if I click on the post? Let's see what that does. Let's see if there's a little option there to edit it. I'm in the Gutenberg editor. Oh, there's the audio generation area. Okay, so it's the same form field basically. So it's there. I can play it. That's cool.
Automatic Code Wrangler application.
Now I'm going to check something. I've got a feeling this might not work, but it's fine if it doesn't. Let's install the Classic Editor plugin and see whether Tanish has enabled this for folks using the Classic Editor. I don't expect him to have, and if he hasn't, it's not going to be the end of the world, and I wouldn't necessarily recommend adding it. But there are still some folks out there who use the Classic Editor. I think the plugin is a case of it's like supports only recent, WordPress 5.8 plus. So maybe he doesn't worry about the Classic Editor, which I don't expect him to. So let's switch this. Okay, so Classic Editor is on, so let's go to posts. Let's go to that one. Yeah, that's fine. Doesn't have the audio thing. I have no problem with that. I just thought that was interesting to check out. All right, cool. Let's go and see what this looks on the front end. So if I click on that one, there's the player.
Automatic Code Wrangler application. My application for a position as a code wrangler at Automatic, the company started by WordPress co-founder Matt Mullenweg. Good day,
So that's interesting. The speech picked up the title. Speech generation includes the title, but then it doesn't highlight the title text when I play it.
Automatic Code Wrangler application.
So it's a few seconds behind. So that's a bug, Tanish, that you might want to check out. I like the fact that he's got this little like highlighter thingy.
For a position as a code wrangler at Automatic, the company started by WordPress co-founder Matt Mullenweg.
That's really cool. I kind of like that. I'm going to play around with the settings for a little bit. So let's go back into the dashboard. Let's go back into the settings. Okay, so let's say it's more of a warm voice preset. and leave it on mail. Let's go more podcast. Let's see what podcast does. Let's save podcast and see what podcast sounds like. Yeah, you're downloading these things every single time, which is not great. It'd be cool if there was some way you could cache them. So let's see what this sounds like.
Hello, this is a preview of the selected voice.
That sounds a bit better. So I'm gonna save that. I'm gonna go back to that post, and I'm going to regenerate the audio. Let's see if it sounds a bit better. What I do want to know is where is it storing the audio files. So I'm going to guess in the uploads directory. But I don't see them anywhere. So that I would like to figure out. So that's why I've gone and given it DeepWiki. Not indexed yet. Okay. Where does it store? Code. Save audio. Oh, it stores it in the post meta. Interesting. So what is it storing in the post meta? Audio data. That's interesting. I want to see where that is. So if we go to posts, what post is this? Let's just play this.
Automatic Code Wrangler application. My application for a position as a code wrangler at Automatic, the company started by WordPress co-founder Matt Mullenweg. Good day, I've written this.
Yeah, that's a bit better. So, what post ID is that? That is 583. So let's go to post meta and let's search post ID 583. For real? Okay, let's just do a search for speech for audio post meta. Ah, wrong thing. Okay, what is it? Speechable audio. Why is it not finding it? Hmm. Oh, there. 83. Doesn't look like it's storing. Where is it getting it from? Let's view. Interesting. So it looks like it is storing it. No, I'm just not seeing it. It's not. Maybe my my app to check my database is just wrong. Let's do this. Let's check Table Plus. Why did I have Table Plus installed? Oops, Table Plus. Table Plus. Yes, Table Plus. Let's install Table Plus quickly. Let's put some music back on. Want to understand where the data is stored. Looks like it's stored in the post meta, but I just want to verify that. Okay. All right, let's get the database. So, SQLite. Name. Database file is in Studio. WordPress. Content. Database. HTSQLite. There we go. Test. Yeah, that seems fine. Connect. Yeah, okay. So let's go post meta. And then query in Table Plus. I don't often use Table Plus. Filters, there we go. Post ID equals 583. There we go. Okay. So there it is. Okay. All right. So it is storing it there. It's basically storing it as a very big base64 encoded audio file. The one thing I will say, Tanish, is that that's going to probably make the database pretty big for every time you do audio. So you might want to consider storing that as an actual audio file in the WordPress content, in WordPress uploads directory, the current uploads directory. That would be one suggestion, because otherwise it's going to fill up the database. And then it'll just make it easy to render on the front end as well, because then you just pass it in the path to the audio file. But yeah, I like the idea. That's what I would do. Those are the kind of changes I would make if I had a suggestion around that. Other than that, I think it's a pretty solidly built plugin. My only real suggestions would be to... So there's a couple of suggestions that I have. I'm going to share them just because it's my stream. I would do a couple of things. I would move the hook registrations into separate functions and maybe look at calling them once the plugin is initialized. Can't speak English apparently. I would Look at moving away from Ajax requests and use REST API if you can, but that's just a personal preference. I just like using REST API requests. You have built-in permission checks and all that kind of stuff. What else would I do? I would, all of the HTML that you've got in these render, in these kind of things, I would look at pulling that in from a file somewhere maybe. So put this in like a templates file and get the data that way. You don't seem to have any PHP variables in there, so there's no reason you couldn't put that into like a templates folder and just make your code a little bit cleaner. What else? Oh yes, I would see if there's a way that you could actually download the models to the uploads directory as well. What you could even do is on your plugin activation, create a folder in the uploads directory called Speechable, and then inside of there create like a models and audio recordings and whatever, and then you can always clean that folder up if the user wants to, in like the settings somewhere. You can clean up that folder. The other thing you could do is put it to the media library. That's another way you could do it, and then the user can clean up the media themselves quite easily. It just means you won't have to base 64 decode on the front end. You'll just load the audio file, and that'll be a lot quicker. I would also try and figure out a way to load all the models, not up front. I like the idea of loading them as you need them, but then once you've downloaded it, instead of it running in the browser, maybe look at putting it into that folder in the plugin or in the WordPress uploads directory, because it'll just make it easier for the settings pages to work. So that's what I would do there. Your code is nice and clean. I can read it, so that's great. Yeah, again, here, lots of HTML that could possibly be in like a template somehow. I'm not a big fan of like mixing and matching HTML and PHP in a JavaScript plugin file. I prefer to separate things out a bit if I can. But that's just a personal preference. And then I would just try and see if I could reuse existing WordPress functionality, like either the data form. Data form is a good example of that. So it'll allow you to create a settings page using core WordPress components, and I actually used this recently. You basically just declare your data, your fields, etc., return the data form component, and you're good to go. And you're already using JavaScript, so that might work for you. So maybe check that out. If you want to do that, there was a really good, I think he's published it. It was a really good blog post on the core developer blog. How to use Dataform to create plugin settings pages. I would recommend checking that out. I've used it myself recently. It's just a lot less code to have to manage if you can use Dataform. And Robert, the developer, talks you through the whole process. So I would give that a look. What else? Anything else that I would consider doing differently? Yeah, see, I have to scan through all this HTML. That's all fine. No issues there. I like the fact that you're checking whether or not it has audio data. Well done. Looks like you were using Piper TTS audio and you were asked to remove it probably. So I totally get that. So I like that. I like the fact that you're doing that. I don't have any major concern. Again, lots of HTML. As I said, the saving of the audio, I would see if I could store that. I would look at trying to install that as an attachment. Maybe not an attachment on the post, but just an element in the media library, and then just store the attachment ID to the audio. and then you just get the attachment ID, get the path to the file, and then just render it on the front end. That'll be a lot easier than having to base64 decode, encode, decode. I can't remember the code on the front end, and it'll save you some space in your database. I spoke about the Ajax stuff. But yeah, I think it's a great idea. I love the fact that you're doing this with open source models. And then yeah, the other thing, as I mentioned, if the title is part of the, I would maybe either not include the title in the audio generation, or if it is in the title, figure out how to do that little bouncy thing on the title as well. Because right now you'll see, let me turn the music off. If I start playing,
Automatic Code Wrangler application.
see, that was the title it read, but it already started with the words here, so everything's a little bit out of whack there. So I would have a look at what you could do there. Maybe get it to stop. I don't know how it all works. I'm guessing it's working based on the speech, the text, or whatever. So just something to be aware of. Okay. Tanish, I don't know if you're going to watch this video, so if you do end up watching this video and you want to make these changes and you get stuck, feel free to give me a shot and I'll do what I can to help. But those are just my suggestions. The only really major ones that I think are major are, if you can, trying to figure out how to get the local models stored somewhere in the WordPress site so they don't have to download every time, saving the file, and then the front end thing that I mentioned to you. Those are the only sort of really big bugs that I could see. The rest is all just my opinion and how I would do things differently. I want to see if this has been indexed yet, because I want to see if I can speak to it. No. So what I would have done is, like, I would ask a question. I would say, where is this data stored? But yeah, that is that. Let me go and decide to deactivate that plugin. Cool. I think it's a great idea. I think it's a great product. So well done, man. I think it is very cool when developers try these things out, build things, new things, test things, have fun with things. I wish you all the best in your plugin development journey. That's where I'm going to stop today, folks. I've got things that I need to get done this afternoon, so I'm going to stop the stream right there. If you have a plugin that you would like me to review, you are welcome to send it my way. Bonus points if it does something around AI. I'm very interested in AI things. So yeah, reach out. My email is my name, jonathanbossinger@gmail.com, and I'll happily sit and pull your plugin apart on my Friday live streams. All right, with that, folks, I'm off. Have a great one. Bye.